the meeting to order.
Good evening. This is the meeting of January 26, 2021. Ladies and gentlemen, pursuant to the applicable portions of the New Jersey Open Public Meetings Law, adequate notice of this meeting has been given. This meeting is posted on the bulletin board located in the corridor of this building and published in the newspapers on January 13, 2021. And the call-in information was posted on the website on Monday, the 25th. Councilman Bacchione will lead in the Pledge of Allegiance. Please rise.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Liberty and justice for all.
We'll have a moment of silence. Okay.
Number 3, roll call.
Councilman Bacchione.
Here.
Councilwoman Gingrich. Present. Councilman Burns.
Here.
Councilman Signorelli.
Here.
Councilman Buccio.
Yes, here.
Councilman Gross.
Here.
Council President Guadagno.
Here. Number 4, discussion by administration.
Number 4A is the appointment of a qualified purchasing agent. We had Vicky Melody, I'm going to give away, sorry about that. Vicky was on QPA last year. This is reappointing her for 2021. And that is on the official agenda, number 11.1.
Thank you, Fred. Letter B is the cancellation of taxes for 100% disabled veteran. The property is block 1839.06, lot 4, and I don't know that I need to say much more than it's a well-deserved break for somebody who served and is disabled, and it's on the official agenda as item number 11.2. Letter C is the refund of construction fees to Scott's Electric Service. It involves a permit that was put in for block 4.70, lot 27, and the work is not going to be done, so the permit is not required, and everything gets returned except for a administrative fee. It's on the official agenda as item number 11.3.
Item number 4D is updating the cooperative purchasing list for both Ocean County and the state of New Jersey. This is mainly due to expiration dates, and that is on the official agenda number 11.4 and 11.5. Item 4E are shared service agreements. The first 3 are with the Ocean Prosecutor's Office. The first one is for the Move Over Grant, fiscal year 2020 to 2021. That is on the official agenda, number 11.6. The second one is, excuse me, for the Prosecutors Program, which is formerly the FAST, or the Fatal Accident Support Team, which is on the agenda, number 11.7. The third one is for the fiscal year 2021 Child Restraint Grant Program, which is on the official agenda, number 11.8. And the fourth shared service agreement is with the Borough of Seaside Park, a volunteer fire company for fire prevention services. And that is on the official agenda, number 11.9.
Thanks, Fred. I think the mayor wanted to speak to letter F.
Yes, this is our annual request from our fire companies and first aid. This one is the coin toss for Pine Wall Fire Company, May 15th, rain date 16th, May 15th, June 26th, and July 18th with rain date attached. And they also have a September 26th, 2001. And this is for the Pine Wall, and it is on the official item 11 for 2010.
Thank you, Mayor. Item G is authorizing the sale by auction of conforming lots. This is another step in the township's attempt to remove and get on the tax base some land that the township owns that is not needed for any public purpose. The previous resolutions at the past recent meetings were to sell non-conforming lots to contiguous owners, this would authorize the sale by auction of actual fully conforming lots. The engineers and the assessor worked on a list, and we will be moving these things along a few at a time. The authorization is a resolution that's on the official agenda as item number 11.11. Letter H is something that was brought to us by the Bayville Fire Company. It's the ability for firemen to get certification so that they can teach the people within their department and get them certified. I apologize that it's late notice to the governing body and the clerk, but I only asked to move this forward regarding Bayville Fire Company, and the chiefs from the other two fire departments requested that they would do the same thing. I should have thought to check with them first before we ever moved it, but if you're willing to amend the resolution, as long as we talk about it now, unless the attorney feels differently, I think just amending this resolution to include all three fire departments instead of just the one would be a way to handle it.
Yeah, I mean, we could do it that way, or we can do a separate one at the next meeting. It's really whatever everybody wants to do.
Township clerk,
I'm
any?
just looking to see if it states in there that it's for the one fire company in our actual resolution.
That would be nice, let's see.
Wasn't it?
H, sign any documents to implement the firefighting in Berkeley Township.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I thought it's just the only one
I
that
take
we're
all that
sending
back.
it to.
I did think ahead that this should cover all three fire departments, and that's why we structured the resolution that way. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Speaking of fire departments, I think the mayor wants, did I say that's on the official agenda as item number 11.12? And item I believe the mayor would like to speak to.
Thank you, Mr. Camera. We're very pleased that Firehouse Sub awarded a grant to our EMS division, and it's what they call, as written on the agenda, it's a what they call a Lucas chest compression system. It's a grant in the amount of $14,567.82, $14,567.82. That's to purchase one of the Lucas devices. And for those of you who are not familiar with the Lucas device, it is a automatic chest compression system, especially now with the COVID-19 situation. Will not only bring the chest compression system, not only bring us into compliance with updated CPR protocol, where we use to ensure our EMS division will continue to stabilize as we continue to see a spike in cardiac arrest, especially with our senior community. I just want to thank, obviously, Firehouse Sub Foundation, our grant writer, Captain George Jones, who was in charge of our EMS division, for bringing this to our attention, and we're very pleased that we were able to get this grant award, and it's on the official item 11.13.
Thank you, Mayor, and I know you don't have the luxury of seeing, but Captain Doan is in the audience tonight, and obviously I knew you would, and it's well-deserved. He's done an amazing job with our EMS squad in general, not to mention being the one who got us this grant. So, yep, he's sitting right here and heard it all. All right, item J, we would be asking our planner, who's also on the phone, Jim Orris, to speak about.
Certainly, thank you, Mr. Cameron. This ordinance is actually an ordinance amendment, which is subsequent to some of the ordinance amendments we've done in the past. When we adopted the last round of ordinance revisions, there was some bulk standards that were left off the conservation residential zone, and this ordinance is just going to bring those same bulk standards back into the current ordinance.
Thank you, and that's an ordinance, so it's on the official agenda as item number 9. And I believe we're back to the mayor for letter K.
Thank Thank you, Mr. Camera. This is just council authorization to submit a grant application. Well, last year, we applied for a new bus for our senior citizen program. And unfortunately, we didn't get it, but we're going to reapply this year. And I think we have a better shot this year in light of the circumstances. So this is just authorization to submit a grant for a new bus for our senior programs at a run out of recreation. And that's on the official item 11.14.
Thank you, sir. And letter L, we're going to ask for Councilman John Bacchione to speak to. He's pushed for this and I know has some comments on that item agenda.
Item L, urging state legislatures to request the full $2,000 stimulus relief for Americans. This governing body requests the members of the New Jersey Assembly and Senate, we implore the federal government to ensure stimulus checks in the full amount of $2,000. The $2,000 has been debated by the federal legislators, and it's about time that we keep the money on our turf as opposed to sending it out to these foreign countries. So that's on the official item 11.15.
Thank you.
Just to dovetail, if I may, President, on
has been locked up. Your IP address is used without your knowledge or consent to visit websites that contain identity theft
No,
practices.
I think it's the
Somebody-
resident who's on the phone.
someone's got to mute their phone.
Excuse me, on the
It's-
phone? We're getting a feedback. Can you please check your phone and mute it if you're not speaking?
Thank you. I think that took care of it. Okay, I'm sorry, Mayor.
Mr. President, thank you. If I may dovetail on Councilman Bacchione's suggestion, he made this suggestion at I believe our reorganization meeting, and it's legislator to, it's a resolution that we're kicking around that late last year. The federal government about $2,000 stimulus relief. As we all know, they passed the $600 one, and now they're talking about adding another $1,400 to an additional stimulus, and I can't agree more with Councilman Bacchione and his leadership in providing this governing body a resolution to actually send to, our Senate leaders, Chuck Schumer and Mitch McConnell, of course, Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi, and our new President Joe Biden. They all spoke about it at the end of last year. In light of everything that's been going on this year, it kind of fell by the wayside. But, the American people who are the economic engines of our economy here in the United States, I'm sure can use an additional $1,400 or $2,000 in additional funds to help their families out during this pandemic. So I just want to once again thank Councilman Bacchione for his leadership and suggesting this resolution, and I want to thank the governing body, the council, for anticipating your passage of such a worthwhile resolution. Thank you, Mr. President.
Okay, letter M is council appointment. The administration recently became aware that there was a vacancy on one of our boards and authorities, so it was last minute. We wanted to get it on the agenda because it's important to keep these positions full, but it will be necessary to discuss this in the closed session, and then we'll be coming out with a vote on the details. And that will be on the official agenda when we come out as item number 11.24. Likewise, letter N is a resolution that I only had a chance to discuss with the council president as head of the recreation department, but because it was last minute and we needed to get it put in place, this sets some fees and parameters for the use of our recreation facilities. The council had passed an ordinance recently that authorized ranges of fees, but we needed to get the specific fee in place, which will stay in place until and when you amend it, but those also need to be discussed in the particulars of it in the closed session. And when we come out, it'll be on the official agenda as item number 11.25.
Through the chair.
I'm sorry, that is 11.24,
Oh, okay.
and for the recreation fees is 11.24. The council appointment is not listed on the actual official agenda.
Okay, so that'll be added on and not done by consent then, I guess?
That's correct.
Yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Through the chair. John, on the recreation fees, if we could talk about the golf course as the police and EMS to get resident rates. I don't know if we could do that, but maybe enclose, because some of our police live in Lacey or whatever, they play golf
Yeah,
here.
there is some pending litigation with that. I do have it on my closed agenda to discuss, not to move anything forward tonight, but to get your input so we can, and hopefully to get authority to go ahead and set up, get the parameters of what we want to discuss, and then get a golf advisory committee meeting together.
Yeah, and it wouldn't be a lot, because most of the volunteer firemen are in town, the EMS and the police. Thank you.
And letter O, last one on the administration's agenda, I believe the mayor is going to take.
Through the chair, John, I can comment on that, on O?
I'm sorry.
I can comment on O.
Through the chair.
That's great. Councilwoman Sophia Gingrich would like to make some comments on agenda item O.
It's rubbing off.
Rubbing off. Want me to say it now? Okay. All right. Through the senior service, we learned today that the Board of Health has obtained 2 mobile units to distribute the COVID injections. Holiday City at Berkeley has been waiting for this information because they will provide the parking area so that they can set it up and distribute to the seniors. We will notify everyone as soon as that information comes to us as to when the vaccinations will be available. And I wanted to add that.
That's a great news, because this was urging to be able to get either mobile or setups in the clubhouses or something done in the senior community, and even to, well, do you want to speak about it as well, Mayor?
Yeah, thank you, Councilwoman Gingrich. As you know, Berkeley Township, we have over 18,000 residents aged 65 or older in our adult community and throughout the township of Berkeley as well. And right now, there are 2 county vaccination clinics in Ocean County, one at the RWJ Barnabas Arena on the campus of Toms River High School North and Southern Regional High School Gymnasium. So there's a northern clinic and a southern clinic in Ocean County. In the resolution, I want to thank Councilman Gingrich and, of course, Councilman Mike Signorelli, who we've been going back and forth by email, who his association as well. Our county put out a survey recently to all the adult communities, and I know several of our adult communities have expressed interest in hosting those clinics. As you know, the Moderna vaccine is being distributed right now. There's limits to the vaccine that Ocean County has been getting. I believe it was about 5,000 doses a week. That has been reduced to about 3,000 doses a week. We're hopeful that the Moderna vaccine and the other vaccines that are being discussed about will get released a little bit quicker. Federal government, the state government disseminates that to the local health departments, and then so on. My office has been getting inundated with phone calls from our residents that want to sign up for the vaccine. I received an email from a 94-year-old World War II veteran in our senior community that is going to have access to a computer or a phone call, not an email, a phone call, and then an email from the neighbor of another World War II veteran that does not have access to computers. that the state came finally with a call center number, and that number is 855-568-0545. There's 250 call agents in the call center that are taking reservations. Unfortunately, if you call that number, if you don't get a live person, then you go to a recording, and then the recording encourages you to go to the state website and try to register for your shot through the website. So, those of you who are out there, we got the word out for our senior community. I think 250 call agents is not going to be enough for the thousands of people that are going to be making calls. So I just encourage that our residents, if you don't have computer access, try to log online and you call the numbers and try to call the number in off hours. But I wouldn't expect to get in first thing in the morning, but maybe around, the call center is open from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. So I would try to call from 6, 7, and 8 to 8 o'clock at night to try to register. So our residents have been more than patient over the last, 10, 11 months, and we just ask you to be a little bit more patient. Unfortunately, we as a municipality don't have any influence or say in how the distribution is being done. But the purpose now, the roundabout purpose of this resolution is to encourage that they do utilize our clubhouses to have either drive-through vaccination or vaccination at the clubhouses for our senior citizens. We also requested use of, I've also offered the use of our recreation center for the behavioral section. But as I mentioned, right now, since the vaccines are coming out very, very slow, I'm not sure how quickly we can mobilize to get these additional vaccination clinics open. Because I mentioned before, you have the two main clinics that's being run through the health department. That's at RWD, Barnabas Arena, and then Southern Regional. In order to register for those two clinics in Ocean County, you have to go to the health department website. As I mentioned, they went from 5,000 to 3,000, so they're booking up very, very quickly. So I suggest you continue to go back to www.ocHD.org and keep checking the availability when they're taking appointments. And those that do not have computer access, we encourage you to call the state call center. That's 855-568-0545. And then, Mr. President, if you want to just roll into some brief comments, unless anybody else would like a discussion on the resolution.
That's fine, Mayor, go ahead.
Thank you. Just a reminder, just to dovetail, we'll have to wait patiently for the COVID-19 vaccines to be distributed and get out there a little farther. But we've seen a tremendous uptick in positives in Berkeley Township since my last report in December. In December, we had nearly 1,900 residents that had contracted the virus, and unfortunately, we lost 122 of those bless their soul. As of today, our numbers are 2,000 locked out. Is everyone on there? Please move your phone. Thank you. As I mentioned, in December we were nearly 1,900 residents, and we lost 122. The numbers came out today were 2,773 confirmed positive, and we lost some additional residents. We're now up to 181 for the size of our town. I know everybody's frustrated because the rollout of the vaccine has been very, very slow, and everybody has been doing their part to try to flatten the curve and try to stay at home. So I just, we're just encouraging our residents to please be cautious, social distance, wear your mask, when you go out, and just to please be patient. And the other reason for the uptick in our confirmed positive is many more clinics, walk-ins, pharmacies. Testing is now more readily available than it was, during the course of last year. So more people are going for tests now than they did 6 months ago, and that that's why we see a bigger uptick in the confirmed positives. So we're still we're about 43,000 residents. So 2773 is our current number. So just wanted to bring that up to date. Things are going well within the municipality. We've been monitoring our finances. Fred and I had a good conversation today on where we were at the end of last year, and we finished very strong. So we're looking to get the finance committee to have a meeting very soon. We're formulating the 2021 budget for presentation to the finance committee, and then work with the finance committee on potential increases in funding or some different funding cuts. But we're finishing where we were headed at the end of the year and where we ended up. We're very, very pleased with the progress that we've made. And I know I could tell I'm confident to say there won't be any surprises moving forward in the 2021 municipal budget. I'll just leave it at that. But we finished, as I mentioned, 2020 very strong, and going into this year, we're very confident that when we finally introduce and adopt the budget, there will not be any surprises for our taxpayers on the municipal level in 2020. So coming out of a pandemic, and government buildings were closed, and stay-at-home orders, non-essential businesses, and limited openings, safety concerns. We've fared pretty well. Obviously, all of our restaurants along the Route 9 corridor and some that are in the senior community continue to struggle with the 25% capacity on indoor dining. I know there was a senator from Monmouth County who asked that the 10 p.m. curfew be relaxed a little bit, because here we are in the winter. During the summer, most of our restaurants adapted to outdoor dining, which kept them afloat during the summer and fall months. And now, being in the dead of winter, and they're all back to struggling. So, we ask that those who are online and those who watch our council meeting online, or those who are in the audience, that we encourage you to please utilize our local restaurants for takeout. They can really use the help. As I mentioned back in last year a couple times, that these are the restaurants who support your child. If you have children participating in sports, or children attending our local schools, these are the restaurants who take out sponsorships for the Little League and the girls softball, or provide donations to the PTA. And they're always generous all year around, supporting all of our nonprofit organizations. And now we find that we need to do what we can to help them during these difficult times. Obviously, when you have an opportunity, shop local, and that also helps. So, we're moving pretty quick. And I just once again want to thank the Township Council for their support for 2020, and we look forward to a healthy, prosperous 2021 for not only our residents, but the world in general. So I appreciate the opportunity to give some comments. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Councilman Vacchione, you have any comments?
Thank you, Mr. President, and timing is perfect. I'd like to springboard off of what the mayor just said with some prepared remarks, if my colleagues will allow. As the new year begins, I'm reminded of the new experiences we faced in the previously highly unusual year. While significant attention was committed to responding to COVID-19, public health crises, and its many effects, a process that provoked many new experiences for all of us. In the aggregate, New Jersey's municipalities have successfully managed through fiscal and operational crisis, meeting the needs of public while keeping costs and taxes down. Here in Berkeley, we did even better than the state averages, where 80% of all municipalities expected reduced revenues. The township's overall miscellaneous revenues came in at 100% of the budgeted revenues compared to the state average of an 11.5 median decrease in the miscellaneous anticipated revenues. 63% of the state municipalities had to use more fund balance to balance their budgets. We did not use any additional fund balance to balance the township's budget. The tax revenues were slightly higher in percentage than in 2019, despite the state property tax collection shortfall of less than 1.5%. All in all, the townships managed to get through the 2020 budget and its impact of the COVID-19 pandemic in a positive way. In the aftermath of 2020, and still in the midst of this pandemic, the Finance Committee, along with Mayor Carmen Amato and his staff, will continue to forge ahead with the same fiscal stability and residents have come to know and expect, despite COVID-19 causing havoc around the state, country, and world. Thank you, Mr. President, for my time.
Thank you, Councilman Vacchione. Councilwoman Gingrich?
I have nothing further for this evening, thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Burns?
Yeah, the last meeting, we passed a resolution to waive the variances on undersized lots. By October 21, there's about 60 to 70 homes that are either going to have to be raised or torn down or brought up to code. So what this does, it allows them to rebuild as long as there was a house on that property without a variance, and they have to fall within the setbacks. So that's going to move it along quite a bit. I noticed, spring is around the corner. Code enforcement is out there, but the way the courts are with the virus, it's kind of hard to, drop the hammer on them. So once the courts open up, we need to drop the hammer again. I was looking, the town, we have quite an investment in playgrounds, parks, beaches, over at the senior citizens. If there's a way, John, that we could meet with Jersey Central and make sure that they're lit with the lights that Jersey Central provides. But also, if there's a way that we could increase our cameras. I know we have cameras all around town that are monitored, but if we could increase them with a new system, over to the beaches, parks, there's, people are complaining down at the end of the streets, there's always something going on or whatever, but, this way they could be monitored or go back to check. So during this week, if we could meet up.
Certainly, always good to add in there. The technology keeps changing, like you and I discussed, and some of the things we should certainly be looking at are the, right to your point, the cameras that can be easily relocated when you have a trouble spot. Like we have our regular ones out there, but when you have a trouble spot, it's nice to be able to relocate the cameras easily, and that's getting easier and easier to do now. So that's
maybe in these trouble spots we could put a sign up, you're being videotaped. All right, there's an unemployment fiasco. People are signing up for unemployment and they're months behind, thousands of dollars on unemployment. I don't know if a resolution would help, but if you're having trouble with unemployment, you should call Senator Connor's office. They don't even answer the phone, so at the unemployment in Trenton, so if they could kick that up. I talked to the mayor. I was tossing around the idea of residence beach lockers on the ocean. They're kind of pricey, but the resident would buy it and then do a yearly fee if we have room, inside the dunes. But, with the parking situation, this way you could walk up to the beach and, have your stuff up there already. They just finished the dredging over at Berkeley Shores. I think the mayor had put something out that it was 2.1 million of state money. And all those inlets now are dredged. And they're going to have the permits for Clam Creek to dredge that, but we're looking for a place to put the spoils. So we need a permit on that. But that dredging will go right away, and that's the north side of Butler Boulevard where, you know, people have to get a slip in a marina to put a boat. So that'll help. And also, for years, we've been kicking around this VA clinic. I talked to the Congressman Kim's office, and now they're looking at redoing the whole thing and maybe including Howell Township. You know, we need it here and we need it quick. So I think in the near future, you know, if the weather helps, I think I'd like to get a meeting over at one of the clubhouses and have a couple of town halls maybe with the veterans. Because even with this COVID, to get an appointment in the urgent care, you had to go there 5 o'clock in the morning. And I went by there on a Saturday, the line, it was pouring rain, the line was around the building just to get a scheduled appointment. You know, the veterans should be able to go right into their clinic and get taken care of. I know I'm doing a lot of doctor visits over the phone, but, you know, a lot of seniors can't do that technology. But you really need to call the congressman and say, hey, let's get on the board with the VA clinic. All right? And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Burns. Councilman Signorelli, sorry.
I have nothing.
Nothing, thank you. Councilman Buscio.
Nothing at this time, thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Gross.
A couple quick things. I didn't get this opportunity last month. I wanted to publicly say what a great job I think Councilman Buscio did as president. That was a difficult year, but he kept the lines of communication open and things pretty organized. And I thought he did a great job, especially given, you know, what he was handed with last calendar year. So kudos to you, Keith. And I wanted to ask either the mayor or Mr. Cameron where we're at with repaving Route 9.
I don't know if the mayor has any more updates than me, other than that I know their anticipation is that they will be wrapping up the gas line in the coming month or so. And I thought that the last, and maybe even our engineering office may have heard, but last I heard, it was on track for the state to do that repaving after it's done, most likely this fall. But if anybody's heard anything other
I
than
heard
spring.
spring.
Okay.
The letter that came said spring.
This spring?
Yeah,
Yeah, spring.
That'd be great.
Fall.
same thing.
I think because Route 9 was scheduled, you know, not to rehash everything, but, you know, a couple of years ago, Route 9 was scheduled to be built and overlaid. But at the time, the governor froze all projects, all DOT projects, because there wasn't a permanent funding source for the transportation trust fund. So shortly after he froze all projects, the legislature and the governor got together and finally came up with a permanent funding for the transportation trust fund, which is why we were all saddled with the original 23 city gas tax and then the two subsequent gas taxes since then to provide a permanent funding source. So the council passed a resolution, and we've been contacting the DOT, so we were pleased to find that, you know, obviously with the New Jersey natural gas work, Route 9 has become progressively worse, and an ongoing construction project, of course, at night. Thankfully, all the construction is being done at night, but if you've ever been driving through Route 9 being on night, we do set up detours and such. So once the New Jersey natural gas replaces the main gas line along the highway, the full repaving project should take place in the spring. We did receive a letter from Vanessa Holman, who's Deputy Chief of Staff at the Department of Transportation, that they were going to go and make some temporary repairs to improve the condition, and then they're going to have it done, probably late spring, so be paid. So it's been a long time coming, and we're waiting patiently since 2017, but in hindsight, it's probably better off that they didn't do it because they were just had to rip up to put in the gas line. So I know it's frustrating because I live in the Route 9 corridor, and my struts and tires and car take the beating every day driving on Route 9. But there is a light at the end of the tunnel, and hopefully early to mid-spring is what we will told, but realistically it'll probably be late spring to get it built and overlaid. So we're happy about that. And then, Mr. President, when the comments are done, I just got one more thing to bring up, and that's actually a milestone.
All right, thank you, Councilman Gross. I just wanted to remind our residents. All right, I'm sorry, again, Mr. Mayor.
Mayor, did you say you had one more thing you wanted to mention now?
Yeah, well, after the comment, it was just one quick milestone just to bring up.
Okay, I'm sorry.
That's okay. I just want to remind our.
Wait till Angela's done.
Sure, thanks, Mayor. I just want to remind our residents that they have 3 days left for our preseason beach badge price, which is $35. That runs until January 29th. After that, the price does go up. You can purchase our preseason beach badges online at Berkeley Recreation's website or in person at the Berkeley Recreation Building on Route 9. That's it, Mayor. Thank you. You have something?
Yes, we have in Berkeley Township, Mrs. Hilda Brown. Mrs. Hilda Brown turned 110 years old on January 20th. She lives in Tollwood in the Berkeley section of Berkeley Township. And just, normally, I normally get invited. They do birthday parties for all their residents there in Tollwood. And we usually get to go, but obviously last year with COVID, and this year with COVID, we weren't able to celebrate with everybody. But Mrs. Brown, unfortunately, but she got through it, was diagnosed with COVID-19 in this past November, but she sailed right through it with flying colors, and she made it through and recovered from COVID. So that was just wonderful, wonderful news. So January 20th, she turned 110 years old, and she was just some interesting factor, an interesting fact that she was 1 year old when the Titanic sank. She lived through the 1918 Spanish flu. Luckily, she didn't come down with it as a teenager. In 1927, she witnessed Charles Lindbergh's Spirit St. Louis flying over her hometown of Musgrave Hill, and on his way to complete the solo transatlantic flight from New York to Paris. In her 30s, Mrs. Brown moved to Fort Lee, where she worked as a waitress for 4 decades before retiring to the Bayville section of Berkeley in 1980. She drove her car until the age of 93, walked until 103, and crocheted until 105. She dedicated most of her life service crocheting scarves, hats, and blankets to those in need, and traveling the world as a church missionary. Last year when she was 109, sadly, out of her 10 children, one is still alive, while our other children passed away. But she's one of the oldest living Americans in the United States, and we're proud, and we're looking forward to the pandemic being over, so we can go send our well wishes to Mrs. Hilda Brown, 110 years old last week. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mayor, for sharing with us. That's truly amazing. God bless her. Number 6, discussion by Township Engineer.
Thank you, Mr. Council President. We'll try to move through these. 6A is a street vacation application for Clinton Avenue. We have a report dated December 30th, 2020. We did not receive any public comments regarding
No,
that.
we did. There
I'm
was
sorry?
one comment. There was one comment opposing that. Did you get a copy of the letter that Jamie revised?
I remember you talking to me about that. So what's our process normally? We make the recommendation, then we vote on
Make
it?
the recommendation, we send a letter out anyway.
Okay, so you just want to hold this for,
This is the, do you want to see the comments from, we can pass it. It's bold.
It's not on the official, so we can,
Right.
if he needs time. It's not on the official, so if you need time, and it can be brought back next month.
Need a motion to table it?
It's not even on the.
It's not on for an
It's not on the
official.
official, so there's no vote that's
This is
scheduled
just
right now.
discussion time anyway, but I wanted to make sure that it is on record that there is a objection to it.
Take it home and read it already.
there was a request at the intersection of Northern Boulevard and Greenway, between Greenway Road and Hopedale Drive along Clifton Avenue, a request to vacate a portion of the right-of-way. Made by a resident. The neighbor across the street agreed to the vacation, and a property owner who does not front on the street objected, claiming that that would landlock their parcel. A review of the mapping in that area indicates that that in fact would not occur, that they had a access through Hopedale Drive out to Northern Boulevard, and based upon that and the lack of comments from other agencies, we had recommended that the governing body act affirmatively on the request.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second, sir.
You can't.
I
Somebody
can't
else?
do
No, anybody else, unless you want to step out.
Is there somebody else wants to second that?
I'll second it. Second,
So we have a second.
We have,
Thank you.
roll call, Councilman Bacchione,
yes.
Councilwoman Giggers,
Yes.
Councilman Burns,
Yes.
Councilman Signorelli,
Yes.
Councilman Buccio,
Yes.
Councilman Gross,
Yes.
Council President Godano.
Yes.
Thank you. 6B is the denial of a performance bond guarantee release for Pinecrest Developers. Our office had prepared a report dated December 28th of 2020, indicating a few things that are still outstanding. The developer has had a previous performance bond reduction, and so when those revisions are made, they'll be back before the governing body. The denial of the release is on the official agenda as item 1116. 6C is a change order from Earl Asphalt regarding the 2019 road program. Initially, the project was awarded at about $487,000. There were two change orders that reduced the contract to about $430,000. And as part of the closeout, there's an increase of about $1,500. So on balance, the project will come in approximately $56,000 under budget. And that contract change order number 3, I don't see it listed. I believe it's supposed to be on the official as item 1117.
It is,
Thank you.
sorry.
6D is a second contract change order for the 2020 road surfacing project for Beaumont and Shannon Court. Originally awarded $93,500. There was about a $1,500 increase originally to the contract. This is the second change order to decrease by about $1,600. So believe it or not, the job's going to come in about $1,000 under budget. So this change order number 2 is on the official agenda as item 1118. 6E is a release of the performance guarantee relating to the Beaumont and Shannon Court paving project, and that's also on the agenda as item 1119. 6F is being carried. And lastly, 6G is the request for performance guarantee release for J.H. Reed General Contracting for the Berkeley Villages project. Believe it or not, the job is 20-odd years old. The developer finally got around to requesting the release of the performance guarantees, and that's on the official agenda as item 1123. That's all, Mr. Council President. Thank you.
Thank you. Number 7,
If I can, through the chair, just before the clerk takes her spot. Somebody's phone is not muted. Hello? Hello?
Watch the remote.
Anyone who's on the phone,
TV.
someone does not have their phone muted.
They can't hear you.
Hello?
Tom, tell Tom.
Tom?
Tom Gross.
Tom, Councilman Gross, it may be your phone, but there appears to be a phone that's not muted.
No, not me, mine was muted.
Thank you.
All right, item 7 is, 7A is firefighter appointments. They've had, passed the background checks, and there's recommended to appoint Gabriel Martinez to the Bayville Fire Company and Travis W. Henry Fusco to the Manitoba Park Fire Company. They're on the official. Martinez is on the official as item 1121, and Henry Fusco is 11.22. That's all I have.
thank you. Number 8, meeting is now open for public comments. I'm going to read from the sign-in sheet first. First up is Ambrose Conte. Mr. Conte, would you just have your name and address for the record, please, sir?
Ambrose Conti, 87 Charles Street, Bayville, New Jersey.
Thank you, sir.
I have the same complaint. Is my area, is that, and you're in charge of this, how about Route 9 by Harbor Inn Road?
What about it?
Who's in charge of that area?
Basically, I am,
Okay.
but the other side of the road.
Are you aware of Trixie's place on Route 9?
Yeah, from 1970 when I bought my motor there.
Okay. Do you remember recently, he had all his Green Mile equipment there? It was...
I actually met with the owner today. It's coincidental.
Really?
Let me hear your problem first.
Same problem. Didn't he get kicked out of there? For
Green
having all
Mile.
that equipment and the green...
Through the
lawn
chair.
service?
Yeah, Mr. Councilman Burns.
Green Mile and Newman Builders are no longer together. Back when I was actually having a conversation with the engineer before the meeting, back when they had the problems, under a residential ordinance, you could take trees down. Under a commercial, you need permits. And what they tried to do was use the residential to take the trees down, but they wanted to use commercial, and they wanted it both ways, and it didn't work. So that's been, what, 4 years, 3 years? Okay, since then, that zone has changed to business, rural business highway or something.
Rural highway business, correct.
That was close. And they're proposing a florist in the front and a legal office in the back or something. They're going to apply for the zoning, and then they're probably going to get denied for a site plan or whatever to make sure they have parking. And so that area is going to be cleaned up. And if you notice on the township property where the Colonel's property, there's a piece of fenced-in area in the back that Newman does rent off the town, but there are some Green Mile trucks in there that are just junk, and I talked to him today about cleaning that up.
I don't care about what they do over
I
there.
care
Just-
about everything.
No, my concern is that they made him clean up and get out of there, right? Why am I having this problem?
I talked to Kenny Anderson about your problem right after the last meeting, and he filed violations with that corner property there, and he said he did clean it up some. I don't see it much cleaned up. And like I said, prior to this portion, that code needs to get out there, and we need to get them before Judge Gluck and hammer these people. There's just no respect. I wouldn't live next door to that mess.
It was just so long. I don't know if you saw this, but I'd just like to show you.
I see it every other day.
He's out running 4 businesses. And then highlighted where he's conducting businesses. So
Yeah, I see it every day if you want to give this to the business administrator. Right behind you.
Thanks, Edwards. I don't know where.
So I know Kenny Anderson's on top of it, trying to get him to move it out, but he does have 3 or 4 businesses in
Here's a
there.
couple of pictures.
I have the picture embedded in my mind.
I mean, you didn't go in there, you didn't see, there's a few of them that you can have to look at them. How would you like to live next door to that?
I wouldn't.
I would
If you
not.
had a 2-story house and you're looking down from your bedroom window, and looking at that. It's horrible. It's unbelievable.
It's the first left when you go down Serpentine, or go down that road and zigzags.
That's what's really with the pictures.
There's really nice houses down, that whole
It's
area.
getting to be, yeah.
John, maybe you can talk to Kenny again and we'll get back over there.
I will, yes.
It's pretty bad.
It's worse in person.
I don't think it could get worse than that.
I can imagine.
Okay.
Mr. Ambrose, can you send him over here?
Oh, sorry.
Can we keep them?
Here, I'll pass it.
Mr. Conti, can we keep those pictures? Do you need those pictures, or?
Thank you.
You need them.
That's fine, we'll give them back to you if you just want to continue with your, and we'll just go back.
I'm sure
to-
Kenny has pictures.
We'll give them back to you.
Yeah, we'll give them back to you. Do you want to just continue?
Okay,
The next step may be the Board of Health.
that's another thing. I mean,
Isn't it?
It's terrible.
Next door. There's $600,000 houses down there.
Look at this.
now, code violation, I'm not familiar with this, but I had copied this down one day.
Give it to the administrator, he's our interpreter.
I mean, if that something takes place, he should have been out there like 8 years ago.
It should have been a $2,000 fine.
No merchandise license, no permits, no nothing. And that's $1,000 fine a day, right?
All the violations,
Yeah.
yes.
Nope, I will get with Kenny and see what we could do as far as stronger enforcement and get him in front of
It's
the
a
judge.
safety hazard too. If the house catches fire, they'll never be able to get to it.
Understood.
You've been out there, John, you've seen it.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
Next problem is the street. Mr. Burns, the street by Holmes,
By Walter Home?
yeah, that's my next problem. Mr.
Since then, we know that Walter Home had passed.
Yes.
And the problem was that the garage was built on a separate lot, and there was no access. Ernie, are you familiar with that?
Yeah, we've gone through it a couple times with the administrator and code enforcement.
Do you agree that a street should be put in there, Mr. Peters?
I don't have an opinion, Mr. Conti. You and I have agreed to disagree about what you expect of the town with regards to this. It's in code enforcement.
Well, I mean, a street was put in there, nobody seems to know who did it, and everybody knows who did it. A concrete driveway was put in, 143 feet long. And,
Do you have 3 building lots across the street?
yes, 2 is 3.
3.
But anyway, after that concrete driveway was put in, it holds water. And let me show you a picture of the water.
Should have been a photographer.
This is with my little flip phone.
Flip phone.
Sweet.
I think there's 2 pictures.
For the council, it was a paper street that was kind of cleared off.
So that's what happens every time it rains?
It's part of it.
Not every time, just a heavy rain.
He has 3 lots.
Is there? Okay, that's the second one. So then, after that, it was dug.
Well, once we get
And it's through the Paper Street, it was dug out.
Okay.
And, you see the water it holds? That's it. It's dug. So he dug deep. And the reason for that,
That was like 2 feet.
the reason for that was to get him down to the level that it'll get rid of his water in his driveway.
Right.
It should have been the reverse.
Mr. Kramer, you're aware of all this stuff?
Yes, and we did meet and sit down with our engineering office, and I believe the way we left it was that we know the property was cleared. We could make assumptions of who might have done it, but we didn't see anybody doing it.
Right.
It is a paper street, and where we were left was whether or not the township wanted to invest any money in correcting it, whether that would be to put more dirt back in there and plant trees, or to actually make it now a proper road. And at this point, the township didn't see any reason to spend any additional money on it. I don't know if that's where, my recollection is where we left it.
That's after the street was dug, Jim.
So basically, someone else dug the street and we're gonna be on the hook for it all.
Well, it's a township right-of-way, a
Right.
paper street,
It's dug.
and a lot of those places most of them are wooded, and
Sure.
sometimes people use them and they start getting rutted out and do whatever, but we generally don't do anything with them until somebody's gonna do a development that then we require them to paper street.
His property was divided, 17, I don't remember.
Through the chair to the engineer, is a proper road just our blend surface? Do we have any of them that aren't paved? We had them all over the place, right?
Well, we have, and then we've spent pretty much this administration fixing them. The improvement of this road doesn't serve any existing home. The existing homes along this area have access to other fully improved municipal streets.
Yeah, but be
So
careful.
if the municipality wants to spend money on improving a
Yeah, you
street
can go back to the microphone, Mr.
We'll
Kramer.
get it back to you.
Pass it back.
that doesn't have houses that currently front on them, we set a precedent for everyone else who comes in with an under-improved road. At this point, I'm not sure how anyone's aggrieved, because everyone has access to those areas.
Thank you, Mr. Peters.
Well, since the owner's passed since, who has the violation, the estate?
I'm not gonna play lawyer, but I assume it runs with the land.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
but again,
We don't
it
know who did
certainly appears that it was cleared by somebody to the benefit of the property owner that has a garage back there. But as Ernie said, no houses front on it, and there's, like, we don't have any proofs of who did it. So if we were gonna go
The
after
street was
the
cleared
property
prior
owner.
to the building going up years ago. That was always kind of like an access way, right?
That was like my property. There was trees in the front by the street and in the back. But I always maintained it and cut the grass and everything. So a major part of it was open.
Right.
He took a lot of trees down. My thing is, his lot faces that street. He built that addition to the barn It's 912 square feet, right? Never got any permits for it. And he used it, right, Frank? He used it for children, the schooling. It had plumbing in it and everything else. It was occupied. That fronts that street. My 2 lots front that street. I'm gonna be the one left fixing the street if I wanna build on it. It's not fair to me. It's not fair to the people across across
John, maybe we
Moore
can meet
Street.
again on this and come up with a different solution.
Sure, but the bottom line, I know it's very frustrating, but I think our options are to try and prove that somebody else did work, which, as we've said, and to be frank, lots of our paper streets, people use to get to the back of their property. I mean, that goes on all the time, everywhere.
Don't grass
This is an
clippings,
extreme, and Mr. Conti was, I think, sincere, I don't know the history, in saying that it was often utilized and somewhat clear, and then this went to the extreme of somebody clearing it, most likely the neighbor who can benefit from it. But the reality is what kind of resources the town wants to put in, so it could still sit the way it is. We could reforest it if we feel like it's a hazard, but for us to pave it, we would still generally wait till somebody else is building a new home that fronts on that
Like
street.
Mr. Ambrose.
Yeah, well, that, if he wants to, but his argument, I get it, is that he believes it should have been done when either the barn or the addition was done, but that never came through to us in that fashion as a new building fronting on that street. In fact, I believe, from my recollection, that whole barn and everything there can still be accessed through the person's
Through the front
property,
driveway.
through the other road, yes.
Right.
This is the back way into it,
Well,
through a paper
I think
street.
maybe we should find a culprit and let them restore it to pre-barn.
Finding the culprit
Is the difficult part.
could be an issue, but yes.
Well, my thing is that from day one, I told them when they started building that addition, I'd like to see the survey and the permits and the approvals. Nobody could give it to me. And that's when we met, and at that point is where they should have said, stop. Stop the building until you put the street in first. And then you complete it, get your approvals and setbacks. That addition has no setback on that lot. That's a separate lot, right?
It's a separate lot, and I think it started out as a pole barn.
It started out as a pole barn. And as a matter of fact, from what I could see, but I have no proof because there's no survey, that barn is 4 feet on that lot 17. I don't know how that took place, but that's why I'm asking for a survey for that concrete driveway.
We can't provide something we don't have. If we don't have a document, we can't provide it.
I understand that,
So
but there should have been one. When they
what
stopped to
should have
notice.
been and what is are two different things. If he didn't provide it to us, we don't have it.
Well,
If there
he-
were no permits, they're just not available.
Well, there should have
So-
been a stop notice that he shouldn't have went any further with the building. Why
And
didn't
how
they
long
stop
ago
it?
was that?
1913.
Oh, forget it.
Okay,
Not
so,
20.
2000.
110 too?
That old lady would have remembered
was it
it.
one?
Yeah, she was.
Okay, so I'm gonna give you a scenario. I worked up in the construction office and somebody built a place with no permits or anything. And they never found out until one of the inspectors was out there and then they finally found out that it was there. And what can you do after it's there? I mean, even the county did not require him to tear the building down.
They're responsible. It's their building though.
Who's responsible?
Whoever built that.
But even the county board did not even require them to tear that building down. even though they didn't get the permits or anything, they did not require that.
And through the chair, I sit on that county board, and if he had gotten the fine, he would have paid the $100 for the appeal and went to the county, and we would have made him survey it or whatever at that point. So, I don't know, maybe we'll talk to the administrator, maybe they're using a building without a CO or something.
My recollection again, and we'll certainly look again, is that when we were all met together with Mr. Conti, Kenny did go pull something, and I thought to show that it had ultimately got approved from the building department. But-
Everything is all fishy there.
Well,
And I don't know,
yeah,
it's gonna take a lot of time to figure that out because it was all underhanded to begin with.
no, like I
That's
said,
why, that's why it's so confusing and everybody thinks I'm crazy. But
no, you understand that it's frustrating. You lived there, you've seen it all develop, and you've tried to bring it to our attention earlier to the township. Some of this obviously predates my time here when you were referring to Fred, but we'll pull out the records as best we have again and try and see. But I thought at the last meeting, Kenny did go to the building department while we were together and bring back something that showed that they ultimately received a CO, but I could
Mr.
be
Council
wrong.
President, yes, perhaps we could bring back to the the governing body alternatives. One of the alternatives, if they don't have approvals to be out there, we cease their approval. We make them take the driveway apron out and they have to go through their property.
Okay.
Or we can determine if they have any responsibility to do something with the road. If not, then Mr. Conti, I believe, is asking the town to spend taxpayer money to improve his and the offender's property.
That's not gonna happen.
And I'm not sure that the town's in a position to do that. So the alternatives, which may not make Mr. Conti happy, are we rescind any right they have to access that area and somehow enforce it.
Okay.
So, but ultimately, to the best of my knowledge, Mr. Conti is asking that either we get the person who did the work, apparently without permits, to bring it up to some standard, or the town should do it. And I'm not sure the town's ever been in a position to take someone else's non-permitted activities and legalize them by spending taxpayer money. So I think we could probably come up with those alternatives
Okay.
for the next council meeting.
Thanks.
And we're gonna look at that,
Assessment to those property owners.
Mr. Cameron, you have everything and all Mr. Conti's information,
Yes.
right? And Councilman Burns says there should be another meeting and stuff to look at everything, so, Mr. Conti, we'll pull everything together, Mr. Cameron will contact you, and we'll take it from there. If that's okay?
yeah, this goes really deep because there's a lot involved in it.
No, I understand it, we have like a 10-minute time limit, so I just wanted to make sure that you got your 10 minutes in, which you did, so Mr. Cameron has all the information, Mr. Burns is familiar, Mr. Peters is familiar, Mr. Anderson's familiar, so I guess we'll just have to pull another meeting together and look at everything, right, John? Take care of that, or?
Yes, I think the way Ernie's recommendation is great. We'll pull together whatever paperwork we have. We'll try to come up with written alternatives to present to the governing body of what can be done, and we'll let you make a decision.
So somebody will contact Mr. Conti to set up a meeting and go
Yes.
through that?
Yeah, through the chair, we don't have to go very deep. Either he's got a CO for it or he doesn't. It's
Yeah.
easy as that.
As far as I know, we're talking about that lot. And the barn has nothing to do with that lot. That's on a separate piece of land, right? And there's no COs, no
Does the family own
approvals,
the
nothing.
adjacent lots? Not to labor this. Does the family own the adjacent lots?
It's in a different name.
Right, but the family does. Okay, we'll
It's
meet and
not-
take
it's
care of
not
this.
that- I think that there's some way or another it's his lady friend or whatever it was, but
Yeah. Mr. Conti, I'm sorry, we're not gonna be able to come to a resolution right now. I think everybody is committed to looking into what is available, what documents are available, and permits and approvals and so forth. And as Mr. Peters said, there will be a recommendation made to the governing body, or at least a list of options, where they can decide how they wanna move forward. But the council doesn't have enough in front of them right now to really make any decision.
okay, let me just make one point.
Quickly,
Mr.
please,
Peters.
because we are out of time.
Mr. Peters is saying my lots. That should have nothing to do whether I'm there or not. That What he cut out is directly in front of his street. Whoever cut it out, which we all know who did it, is directly in front of his lots. I happened to be there. You know what I mean? And it was always my property. He's the one who always used it and took over with it. He didn't even ask me. This other guy that I have a problem with on the other side, that's the same problem. He blocked the street, that I lost access to other lots I have on the other side of the property.
But these are paper streets that were there,
Right.
correct?
It wasn't his house faces that
But
street.
these are paper streets
His
that,
house faces that street. It's not a paper street anymore. There should have been day one when they
okay,
built
when
that
you
house.
create the law for that, then we'll go with that. But they are paper streets as they're defined in the township. So that he's moved down onto that property, he hasn't taken it from you. It's a paper street.
It's a paper street, but he has no right to, he's got all logs all across the street. I can't even go in there.
He
I
improved
walk
it.
around those logs.
And we will-
Excuse me, that one I can really, we should just end here because I have a clear recollection of that, and I'll follow up with Kenny. I believe when we all met again, we said on that one, it's a straight up code issue. He's got, somebody has placed these, not railroad ties, pilings on our paper street, and we can either remove them ourselves or require them to be removed, and
we will
I'll follow up on
Thank
that
you.
for sure.
Thank you, Mr. Conte. We'll have somebody contact you and we'll get this all straightened out. Thank you for your time.
Do you have all my papers?
Yes.
Yeah, you think you got everything, you have everything back?
Yeah. Except for what you gave Mr.
Yeah,
Cameron, right?
the four business registration forms, do you need them back?
That's for you.
Yeah, I wanted to keep them to show them the code
Okay,
enforcement. Thank you.
thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you, Mr. Conte. Have a nice night.
Anyone else?
Is there anybody else here that needs to come up to speak? Do we have anybody else on the phone that would like to make a comment?
I would like to talk.
Sure, can we have your full name and address, please?
Hello, this is Mark Fager, 1562 Springfield Avenue, New Providence, New Jersey. I'm the managing director of Summit Energy Partners. I've been in business 18 years and I developed solar farms. And I've been listening to council's discussion from December 21st and tonight. And I wanted to plant the seed about solar in your township. Previously, we heard that when there was a dredging project, the government paid, you used $2.1 million and it benefited your town. And I was involved in the bidding of the landfill community solar project, where the solar project was going to take on $2 million of landfill cleanup and capping. I've been studying Berkeley Plaza, that former asphalt plant area. That's the contaminated brownfield part. That's the westernmost part of your community center plan for solar and energy storage application. And I just wanted to plant the seed tonight that what we're seeing is that this solar and energy storage is in high demand in the state. The federal government just extended the investment tax credits for another 2 years. Solar is compatible with siting on a brownfield property. Solar can shoulder some of the costs of cleaning up and restoring that property. Right now, it's planned to be numerous small lots in the commercial sub-district. And I know this has been a plan in the works for a number of years, but solar is actionable now. And $20 million investment in your township doesn't require any monies from the town, but it does create a huge property investment and creates new tax revenue that allows you to do many other things you want to do in your town. So tonight, I just wanted to plant the seed that I think that solar and energy storage would be applicable to the contaminated asphalt plant portion of the property, which is the westernmost 70 acres. And I was trying to explore, how do I work with your township to make this happen? I think it'll bring a lot of benefits for you.
So
Thank
that's my introduction.
Thank
You know, I've been in business many, many years. I think this is would be a great opportunity to develop solar on that property, and I think it has many benefits for your town. And just from looking at it as, you know, as a solar developer, you know, it's an ideal site in New Jersey. It's a large area adjacent to a big energy user, the wastewater treatment plant. It's near some big power lines. And I guess the final point I'll make is, in other solar projects, you know, we've seen these firms, you know, expand greatly due to all this cloud computing. You know, they say that COVID accelerated about 5 years all the internet activity. So now what we're seeing is these data centers are needed to host all this, and I think that that would be also a valuable tenant to try to attract to your development. Not the part that's fronting on Route 9, but the inward part that's unfortunately been, you know, kind of contaminated. You know, in your last meeting, saw that there was a $3 million bond resolution for cleanup costs, and so I'm just trying to find a way that how will solar and energy storage relieve you of some of those costs, so you don't have to incur that debt and you know, burden the taxpayers with it. I believe it's feasible.
Thank
But I'm
you.
trying to discover, you know, how do I go about this? I haven't done business in your township before, and I'm just wanted to plant the seed tonight.
Thank you. This is Lauren Sager, the Township Attorney. I believe we have been in contact with you before about this process. Specifically, our planner, Jim Morris, has been in contact with you. The council did
Sorry, man, you're
authorize...
breaking up.
Yeah, somebody's phone, I think, was unmuted. It was coming through the speaker.
Yeah.
Sounds clear now.
The council is, and the administration are well aware of the potential for solar in that specific site. And just in general within the state, they did authorize, I believe, an RFP to go out for that site. It has not been developed yet. Obviously, that takes some time, but they are aware of it and they are working on it. So, you know, as I said before, I believe you have been in contact with Mr. Orris. When the RFP does become available, you will be made aware of that, as will anybody else who is interested in such a project.
Through the chair. We've been
Yeah,
working.
thanks, Lauren. I appreciate you jumping in, and I appreciate the comments, but just rest assured, we've been discussing this feverishly over the last 4 months. And as Lauren has indicated, we are looking to move forward with a parcel to that property. You know, basically the rear portion to see what we can do. We're working with a redeveloper, a named redeveloper, who would have to be brought into any type of decisions that we make for the future of that property. But solar has been discussed very much over the last 4 months. But I appreciate your time and your comments.
Through the chair.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mayor. We've been working on that for a long time. We've even met with OCUA that's got the plant there because they have a need for solar also. But, so we've been looking at solar there for a while, then you don't have to do the cleanup. And also that $3 million bond, that's not, we didn't cash that check yet, let's put it that way. The council needs to approve any monies for that cleanup. So it's $3 million, but like I said, we haven't cashed the check. Anybody want to add?
Right.
Any other comments from anybody in person or on the phone?
When is the discussion for the public allowed to speak?
Right now.
Right now, we're doing it right now, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Can we have your full name and address, please?
Yes, my name is Rich Ryan. I'm on 912 Main Street in Bayville. Asking if it's possible to have the recreation chair and council person and Jimmy Byrne to meet at the Main Street Park at the end of Main Street, which is a proposal that's on for Capra and I think Green Acres. It's to revitalize the park. I'm very happy that this is happening. I'm very excited to see this get done. I do have a couple of questions, and I was hoping if the recreational park person on the council and Jimmy Byrne could meet me there to review some minor concerns that I had.
regarding the types of boats and so forth going in and out of where the ramp would be.
Through the chair,
And also,
go on, Rich, finish
and
up.
also the other thing that I wanted to speak about was the road lift at the end of the street and how that has affected Main Street in itself. Because if now currently people walk to the park, and when that road is hit by rain, it floods and cuts off people's access to the park. And it never did that prior, the road lift at the far end.
Through the chair,
Yes, Councilman Burns.
we've gotten the permits, and we still have some DEP issues. Originally, that was going to be a powerboat ramp, and because of the parking situation, and, you know, we do have paid ramps in town, we sure don't want to compete with our marinas that they sell a bag of ice with the ramp. But that's going to be a passive park. The ramp is going to be for kayaks and that kind of stuff. There'll be no power boats within so many feet. It's going to be bulkheaded. If you notice, the tide is up over the flagpole now. And looking east, the left side of the road is supposed to be the drain right to the bay. And there was a catch basin added prior to the restoration there that I would think that was going to have to be removed because that actually takes the bay water. But, you know, we've gone over this, and you were one of the ones that was concerned about a camera being down there added and more lighting, you know, facing to the park. But it's basically going to be a passive park that you can put your kayak in, and, you know, because I always thought there'd be little kids playing into the ramp that we don't want, you know, any boats. And as far as parking, there's still going to be 6 spots. All right?
Well, the concern that I had was, I have no concerns about whatever lighting that is gonna be there or any type of video surveillance or whatever may be from the town. To me, that was not my question. My question was the list of the road and how that has impacted Main Street, whereas the road used to pitch from South Bay Avenue down to the bay. Is a slow pitch and the water would drain. What had happened in the last year was the road was lifted at the far end to be higher than parts of the road that are west of it. So what you have now is slightly, instead of a line going down, you have like a V, and the road floods where the V is at the bottom. And that is due to the road lift. And we never had water on both sides of the road to sit there for days due to this water being stopped and not draining out. There is a catch basin, but it does not serve its purpose. It is really basically does not work.
No, the catch basin was just
The question was to see if I could get Jimmy Byrne. I did send him an email through the clerk's office, maybe you didn't get it, to try to meet me there, and I'm hoping that this council meeting that I could get.
Give me a date and time.
Gentlemen.
Give me a date and time, anything but 10 o'clock tomorrow morning.
All right.
What day and time?
Thursday, any time that works for you. If 9 o'clock, 10, 11, 12, whatever works for you, I'll bring coffee, whatever you need.
No, I can't take any gifts, but I'll, I'll meet you there at 9 a.m. Thursday.
That's awesome. Thank you so much. And this, who am I speaking with?
Jim Burns.
Okay, I just don't see it, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Great.
Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Ryan. Is there anybody else that would like to make a public comment?
Is it pick on me night?
May I have a motion to close the public portion of the meeting?
So moved.
Second?
Second it.
All in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.